what would your advice be to people who aren't, as it were, from a trade body perspective, but are trying to get their voice across for their sector and are struggling? What would Ian give them based on that experience? What would you tell them to do?
Back to the Paul Walsh point of, can you distill your message into something everybody can remember? So during the 2008 financial crisis, I should never forget this. In a meeting, in an executive committee meeting, we were all reporting the really terrible things that were happening. And I remember one of our guys, who was our head of North America, incredibly seasoned, brilliant man who had been in the business 40 years. I remember watching his face as he said, "I don't know where the bottom is." And that's a pretty scary moment. And I remember that the reaction from Walsh in this circumstance was, said, "Listen, this is very simple. It's very scary, but it's very simple. Don't worry about profit. Don't worry about anything other in this context than market share and cash. As long as we've got the cash, we will be fine. As long as we use this period to build our market share, when we come out of the other side, we will be ahead. And then there will be many opportunities for us to help those who have not been able to do that during the crisis." And his big message was, Diageo will prevail. 3 words, Diageo will prevail. That message worked for the stock market. It worked for our customers. It worked for our suppliers. And most importantly, it worked for the staff and all those who were associates of the business. And in that context, it meant that many, many more people wanted to shelter under Mr. Walsh's umbrella than you might expect. And it kept us together through that whole period. And I would say that the same message applies to those of you who are leading or engaging in discussions with the government. You've got to find a message that resonates, but it has to be very simple and very straightforward. And it's a bit like, I forget who it was, probably Oscar Wilde, it usually is Oscar Wilde, who said, I haven't got time to write a short letter. I've written a long letter because I haven't got time to write a short one. It may not be him, but I think that's the truth. It's worth spending a lot of time on what is your central proposition distilled down. And it also is very important because it displays one thing that is crucial, not just in leadership, but in business success to me, and that is clarity of thought. If you think clearly, you write clearly, and you express clearly. I think the most effective businesses are those that are led by people who have to explain themselves to their kids. I know that in my case, when we discovered how important responsible drinking was to our 14 and 15-year-old kids, we got really good at it, and it became a massive commitment for our business. And those who have to explain themselves to the complete and never-ending scrutiny of their children will, in my experience, be far better at doing all of this, and indeed will be far better businesses for it.